also ordered some plates for that.
Initiative, you know, that section.
Mickey Long Sweet.
And one of the things that he's going to bring up is the mental health, and we'd like for you all.
You mean his own or the initiative?
Well, they may bring that up.
Say, well, I know the guy, and I'm not sure.
Hammond's is eager for the board to hear the progress y'all are making.
The meeting of the Board of Regents of the Texas Tech University System is now called to order. The board will continue in open session and meet as a committee of the whole and a meeting of the board. President Skuvenek, Chancellor Duncan, President May, President Mitchell, and President Lang, will you please present your introductions and recognitions? There's Black. That's cool.
Chairman Francis, and members of the board, I want to thank you for preparing this resolution honoring the memory and the service of Officer Floyd East. At this time, I would like to ask Carmen and her two daughters, Anna and Monica, to please, if you could please come forward. And before I read this resolution on behalf of the board, I would like to ask President Rick Lang to make a few comments on behalf of the Texas Tech Health Sciences Center at El Paso and the community of El Paso.
Officer Floyd East was an El Paso native.
Yeah, of course.
A 1989 graduate of Andrews High School. He began his career with the Health Science Center Police Department on December 2nd, 2014, while attending El Paso Community College Law Enforcement Agency Academy to obtain his basic police officer license. Officer East was a dedicated police officer who truly cared for the communities he worked in. He chose law enforcement as a career because he wanted to be a part of the effort to keep cities safe, to make them great places to live and raise a family. On October 9th, at the age of 48, on October 9th, 2017, at the age of 48, Officer East lost his life in the line of duty. The following week, he was laid to rest in a private service in El Paso, which was followed by a public service held at our Abraham Chavez Theater. Officers and first responders from numerous agencies from around the state of Texas, actually from around the country, attended the service to pay their respects to their brother in blue. Our campus and his family filled the auditorium to pay tribute to this beloved father, husband, brother, and son. Our Health Science Center still mourns the loss of this caring, generous, selfless college and friend who is survived by Carmen, his wife, and his two beautiful daughters, Anna and Monica.
Resolution of the Board of Regents of the Texas Tech University System. Whereas the Board of Regents of the Texas Tech University System is proud to recognize Officer Floyd East Jr. for his commitment and service to Texas Tech University, and whereas Officer East began his service as a guard at the Texas Tech University Health Sciences Center Police Department in El Paso, Texas in 2014, and whereas Officer East attended the El Paso Community College Law Enforcement Academy to obtain his Texas Commission on Law Enforcement Basic Peace Officer License and graduated on June 22, 2016. And whereas Officer East transferred to the Texas Tech Police Department in Lubbock, Texas in 2017 as a police officer and completed his field training officer program on August 31st, 2017. And whereas Officer East served the Texas Tech University community in an exemplary manner and was killed on October 9th, 2017 in the line of duty at Texas Tech University. And whereas the Board of Regents offers expressions of profound gratitude for such dedication and service, now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Regents of the Texas Tech University System on this date, March 2nd, 2018, do hereby extend its heartfelt appreciation to the family of Officer Floyd East Jr. for his loyalty, dedication, and character. And be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be prepared for the family of Officer Floyd East Jr. as an expression of high regard from the Board of Regents.
Would you all come around with me and let's have a photo? Chancellor Duncan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members. I do know, and I just do want to recognize the fact that the East family is certainly have been in our hearts and our thoughts for a long time. And our students at Texas Tech University, I think, really did feel the brunt of this, and I was really taken by the way these students reacted to this and to their care and love for the officer. And so, anyway, having said that, I want to acknowledge that family and what they have been through. Regent Lewis reminded us this morning that today is March 2nd, which is Texas Independence Day, and there's a little bit more to that anniversary, though, than we remember. In 1923, on March the 2nd, was the very first Board of Regents meeting for Texas Tech University. It was in Sweetwater, Texas,
Wow.
because the legislature passed a bill that created Texas Tech University. It didn't put it in Lubbock or El Paso or Sweetwater. It put it west of the 98th meridian and north of the 29th parallel. So I don't think there was a train station that was headed to Lubbock, Texas that day. So the very first board meeting was held in Sweetwater, and I think if you see, most of those guys got there by train. They looked happy. Not just because of the long train ride, but there were some pretty significant people in that group. John W. Carpenter was, these are big thinkers, people with big ideas. I think Regent Lewis, his grandson, is your suites, offices in your business suite.
That's correct.
And was a Texas Tech graduate.
And John Carpenter had a son named Ben Carpenter and John Carpenter Jr. John Carpenter Jr. was killed in a car wreck, and then Ben kind of carried on the family legacy. But he hired me. He came to Lubbock and hired me in 1972 on the spot, actually, to come to Dallas and go to work for him, which I did for 19 years. So, and recently, actually this last week, I don't think I've said anything to anybody, but his granddaughter in San Antonio sent me a number of files and invitations and newspaper articles related to his serving as a director at Texas Tech on the original board. And I'm going to get with the Southwest collection and provide those.
William P. Hobby was a member of our first Board of Regents,
Didn't know that.
Governor of Texas, publisher, the Houston Post, and then Hobby Airport bears his name. Amon G. Carter was the first chairman. And not pictured in this group was your predecessor, Regent Francis, and her name was Mrs. Charles B. DeGroff. And she was a prominent member of the El Paso community who owned and operated the Hotel Orndorff making her a very well-known business person. So I think it's really fitting, and the reason I brought that up was Regent Lewis reminded us that this was Independence Day, but at the end of the day, it's also our 95th anniversary of the first board meeting, and I think it's only fitting that it's in El Paso because of what this institution was created to do, was meet regional needs out here. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't already meet regional needs, and we've done a good job. I think we expressed that yesterday with the Health Science Center, but also if you look at what we've done for the state, for the nation, and now internationally, is very significant. I don't know that these guys ever had in the vision when they had that first board meeting that it would be as significant as it is. And if you want to say, you know, I always go to this, we've talked about this a lot, but Paul Horn, who was our first president, said, let our thoughts be big thoughts and broad thoughts, and let our thinking be in worldwide terms. And we've done that. And you, as a Board of Regents, have forwarded that mission for Texas Tech University. We do a pretty good job of covering the state, and those are our campuses. So anyway, I thought it would be a good time to celebrate the 95th anniversary of the first board meeting of the Texas Tech University. Actually, it was Texas Technological College at the time, but we've come a long way since that time.
Chancellor, as a little additional trivia, I think many of you met Paul Foster Wednesday night, who is the namesake of the medical school here. And I don't know if it still hangs there. I know Hans had it, but his grandfather was on the first football team, and there was a picture hanging in the Chancellor's suite showing him. So Paul goes way back with us, too.
I had a few other introductions or at least recognitions that I wanted to make. Since we're celebrating the 95th anniversary of the first Board of Regents, there are a few Board of Regents that we've had that have been recognized lately, and I just kind of wanted to bring that to everybody's attention. Regent Huckabee and his company, Huckabee Inc., has recently received the Zeuig Group Trifecta Award in December, which is a recognition given to companies that have received awards for best firms to work for, hot firms, and marketing excellence, and all in the same year. I want to send congratulations to Regent Huckabee and his colleagues on this recognition and accomplishment. John Steinmetz was recently named to the Dallas Business Journal 40 Under 40, which indicates that he's among the top 40 North Texas men and women who represent innovation and excellence in their field. This recognition means he's considered by peers to be a dynamic, impactful leader, and that he's made North Texas a better place to live and do business. Congratulations, Regent Steinmetz. Now, you guys didn't know we were going to do this, so I hope I don't get in trouble. Mickey Long. This coming April, Regent Mickey Long will receive the Distinguished West Texan Award. This is the highest award given by the Texas Tech chapter of the National Football Foundation and College Hall of Fame. The annual award goes to outstanding people who maintain a lifetime interest in the game of football and who exhibit enviable leadership qualities, making a significant contribution to the betterment of amateur football. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I hope I hadn't left anybody out, but the final, last but not least, is Vice Chairman Tim Lancaster. In February, Tim received the Earl M. Collier Award for Distinguished Healthcare Administration. This was given to him at a Texas Hospital Association meeting in Houston. There were hundreds of people in the room. This was the only event of that particular ceremony. Anyone who knows Tim knows this award is well deserved. Tim has dedicated his entire professional and personal lifetime to the well-being and prosperity of his community, and played an instrumental role in bringing the Texas Tech Health Science Center to Abilene. I know we're thankful for all that he does for us on the board, but also for his statewide recognition for the Earl M. Collier Award. We mentioned this yesterday, and it's kind of this may be a little bit of a historic board meeting for reasons, but Michael Molina, as you know, accepted a position as Associate Vice President of Facilities and Planning and Management and the Chief Architect for SMU. Michael's a native of the Dallas area, so he's returning to his roots to pursue his new adventure. He served as the system's vice chancellor for 8 years, and I don't know of any harder job that we have as a vice chancellor, because building is just subjective sometimes, and it is just one of those things where you have you're having to meet a whole lot of different demands and work long hours. During his administration, the system has created more than 70 projects in all 4 components, for a total capital improvement portfolio exceeding $1.1 billion. And Michael's done a really nice job of establishing standards and guidelines, and making sure that we remain loyal to our Spanish Renaissance architectural commitment, and I think has done a lot of things with our master plan that I think has been very well. I think some of the things that has happened, and at least I think working with Kim Turner and her team, we've seen more than $22 million in cost avoidance return to the components. He's a proud Red Raider, and we're going to be sorry to see him leave. And I just want to congratulate him, and I know you do too, on the fine work that he's done. And I now would like to also ask Billy Breedlove to stand. Billy, you probably know Billy, and Billy has presented before the board before. He does a really nice job. Billy is will be our interim vice chancellor for facilities planning and commission. Billy joined the system in 2010 and has served as our associate vice chancellor of operations, risk management, and quality assurance. I don't know why anybody would want that job. But in this role, Billy has managed the contracting process for capital projects and has maintained our premier design and building standards. He's a proud graduate of Texas Tech and has extensive experience in management and compliance. Billy understands our culture here at the system and has worked closely with Michael throughout his time here, and I have full confidence that he will maintain our momentum through this interim process. Currently, we have over $300 million in active construction projects at our component institutions, and Billy will ensure that these projects move forward with the same quality that we always expect. Congratulations, Billy, in your new role. And finally, Tommy Stevens, as you remember, retired. He's not here today. Tommy retired, and because of the way our retirement systems work, he had to retire on February 28th. And it killed him because he couldn't be here to do the board, do all the technical aspects that we've seen him do before. But he worked with a team that I think has done a good job of helping us get ready for this. And I'll first recognize the IT team because they had to come in, and I don't think we've had any problems at all. It seems like it's worked very well. But from the Lubbock, Macon and Abby Morales, I think, helped with the IT team here. Lee Hernandez, Chris Chavis, Robin Chavez, Danny Castaneda, Dan Smith, Miguel Gonzalez, and Nadi Perez. So I want to give them a hand for a job well done. And I know Dr. Lang may want to do this, but I just want to say congratulations to your office and to your team here with the Office of the President, Institutional Advancement, the shuttle services, the police department, who've just taken really good care of all of us here, kept us on time, and made this a really enjoyable board meeting. And also helped us learn a whole lot more about the mission and how well y'all are doing here in El Paso. So let's give you guys a big hand. Chairman, members, that concludes my introductions and recognitions.
President Lang, I'd also like to chime in on behalf of the Board of Regents. I know all of us appreciate all the hard work that everyone has put in, from your staff to the organizations and vendors you interact with. It's been a fabulous meeting.
Thank you.
All right, President Mitchell.
I have no introductions, Mr. Chairman.
President May? President Lang.
Yes, sir. I have several people I'd like to highlight. Dr. Gadad, would you please stand first? This is Dr. Srikanth Gadad. He's an assistant professor who just joined us in January. You say, what could he possibly have done in being here since January to be recognized already? He is a CPRIT scholar in cancer research. He received his PhD in molecular biology and genetics from Jawaharlal Nehru Center for Advanced Scientific Research in India. He was previously an assistant instructor at UT Southwestern for about 7 years, and his research is to understand the functional role of what's called non-coding RNA in cancer, specifically in breast cancer. And why he's here is because of the CPRIT grant. He is the recipient of a $1.9 million CPRIT grant. He's the recruitment first-time tenure-track faculty member of this award, west of I-35. So we're very proud of him. We're very glad to have him here. Srikanth, thank you. Let me follow, though, with Karen Shokar. Karen, where are you? Please stand. She's hiding in the back. She's a tenured professor here at the Department of Family and Community Medicine. She's the vice chair for research in that department and the director of the Cancer Prevention and Control Center. She's co-director of the Paul L. Foster School of Medicine, Center of Emphasis for Cancer. She received her MD degree from Oxford University, internal medicine training at Stoke Mandeville, interned in general vascular surgery at the John Radcliffe Hospital in England, and completed family practice residency at Horton Hospital. She also has a master's in public health at the UT School of Public Health. She's a top doctor in El Paso. She received the 2016 Chancellor's Award, the 2014 Dean's and Excellence Award, the 2011, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17 Best Doctors in America. In 2011, the Dean's Award for Excellence in Research. And just on the side, she's got about $12 million in CPRIT grants, 6 different CPRIT grants, and over $1 million in the National Cancer Initiative as well. She is a star. What she does translates cancer prevention, not only here, but across West Texas. So the programs she started here will be implemented around. If you happen to walk outside and see the giant colon outside yesterday, did you guys see that? They had colon cancer awareness here on our campus, parenthetically. Yesterday, there's a big inflatable colon you could have walked through yesterday. And what Karen has done is phenomenal. We talked yesterday about centering population health and making that an effort, and it's going to be centered around Karen. Karen, I want to thank you for what you bring to the university. Great. Now, I'm almost embarrassed because Paul's been standing up 2 or 3 times, but I want to formally introduce Paul Ogden. Paul, where are you at? Right back here. You all were approved as appointment and tenure yesterday. He joined us on February 1st, 2018 from Texas A&M. There, he's been the interim dean of medicine, the interim senior vice president of the Health Science Center. He's had academic roles at Scott and White Hospital. He received his MD degree at Texas A&M and did his training in residency internal medicine at the Mayo Clinic. He completed a faculty development course or fellowship at the University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill. He has over 30 years of experience in academic medicine. And we recruited him here while he was at A&M serving as the vice dean for academic affairs. He's been the director of GME programs, 33 different ACGME programs. His national experience in clinical curriculum and assessment, including simulation, education. We're very fortunate to recruit him. He has worn maroon for over 35 years. The first day here, he had on a red Texas Tech tie, and he hasn't looked back. Paul? He's a great partner. Is Dr. Ho here? You are. I'm so glad you made it. He's had the flu. You met Dr. Ho a little over a year and a half ago when he tried to retire. Only retire from Texas Tech. I'll remind you that he received his MD degree in 1974 at the University of Saigon School of Medicine and Pharmacy, UMP, where he specialized in internal medicine, critical care, and infectious diseases. He was a boat person. He and his wife, and Tony was a year old, is that right, at the time, escaped from Vietnam. It's a remarkable story. Ends up in the U.S. He has to complete his training again, do it all over again. This is after providing care for over a year at an internment camp in Cambodia. Not an internment, but I guess a camp where all the refugees were. He was the only doctor there for thousands of individuals. Made his way here, and actually completed his internal medicine training here at Texas Tech University Health Science Center in El Paso and joined the faculty in 1986. I think I mentioned he won the Outstanding Faculty Award for 17 consecutive years. He won the Clinical Faculty Award for Clinical Excellence for 15 years. He won the President's Excellence Award 3 times, and he received the Lifetime Teaching Award 4 times. 4 lifetimes of teaching is what he did. He retired here because he wanted to go back to Vietnam, and the reason I'm recognizing him here is Dr. De La Rosa and I had the opportunity to be there literally about 3 weeks ago, where his first 60 graduates graduated from the program there with faculty development simulation training from 2 of the largest medical schools in Vietnam. 6,000 medical students at one of these. It's huge. When we walked into the stadium, we got a standing ovation from the graduates and the professors there. He's starting a program that's absolutely outstanding. Now, there are certain times where you've kind of reached the level. For example, standing ovation, that was nice. Front row seat, that's nice. Dinners honoring us, that's nice. Meeting with the deans, that's nice. Minister of Health for Saigon, that's nice. Here's the pinnacle. At the end of all this, we're sitting there with this large group, and they say, we want to take you to a private room for singing. I thought, well, this is nice, because we've now had 2 hours of cultural events they did in our honor. The singing was karaoke. And Dr. Ho sang karaoke for the first time in his 68 years. Is that not right? So we're very proud of what he did here. We're very proud. As the Chancellor said, we want our thoughts to be worldwide thoughts. What he is doing is changing Southeast Asia. They're working for accreditation, the only simulation accredited training in all of Southeast Asia. So, Ho, I just wanted to thank you very much. You've done a great job. And lastly, I'm going to recognize them as a group. I want the SAC COC group just to stand for a second, the whole group. I mentioned what an outstanding job they did. 2 things I want to mention. One is it's our first accreditation, and they said it's going to be rough, and they're going to have findings. The second thing is it said it's going to take this amount of time. I said we don't have time. We're going to shorten this, and it's not going to be good. It's going to be perfect, absolutely perfect. So everything that they did came through me to be edited, sent back to them. It was absolutely perfect. They met the timeline. As I mentioned to you, it was the most outstanding submission they said they have ever seen across the United States. This is from the Vice President. When we turned it in before they came, the President, Bill Willen, said, this is the best prepared organization for splitting off that I've ever seen. So it was a predetermined outcome. And just to put it on the cap, so for about 6 months, I'm sending back edits. No matter what they sent me, I always found something to correct, and it used to drive them crazy, right? Yes, it did. Yes. Val Patton's head of this group. So just to put the icing on the cake, I have to send a letter to them requesting that they would waive that 5-month and accelerate our accreditation. There were 2 mistakes on it, and Val found them and corrected and sent it back to me like, you're really not that good. So I want to recognize this crew is absolutely outstanding, and they're committed to excellence. And you did a great job. So. And that concludes my recognitions.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Chancellor.
Save this one for last, I think. But I know on behalf of the Board of Regents and on behalf of all of our staff and our spouses that I think we want to personally thank you and Ginger for all that y'all have done to make this a really a great event, and also to congratulate you for being a chairman twice. And I know you may have a record for the number of years on the board, but for all that you've done for Texas Tech University system over those years. So we want to thank you, and in particular for being such a great host for all of us here in El Paso, Texas.
Well, to everyone here and to my fellow regents, it certainly has been an honor to serve, as I know all of us feel, and it's been great to be able to have you all in El Paso and showcase this amazing university that is coming out of the ground and making such a difference in not only our region but across the state. So thank you all. Board will continue in open session and meet as a committee of the whole and a meeting of the board. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the board meeting held on December 14th and 15th?
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries. Thank you. We will now consider items as a committee of the whole, and I would ask the vice chairman to preside over the committee of the whole. Mr. Lancaster.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The item is consideration of the consent agenda, items A through E, as listed on pages 1 through 13 of the agenda book, and the information agenda as listed on pages 14 through 17. Is there any discussion of the items in either the consent or information agenda? As a reminder, if there's any item you'd like to have discussed in further detail or voted on separately from the consent agenda, you may request that the item be moved to the committee of the whole agenda. If not, Mr. Chairman, I move that the board approve the consent agenda and acknowledge its review of the information agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Regent Lancaster.
Mr. Chairman, the next item for consideration is approval of an amendment to Chapters 1 of the Regent Rules. Ben, will you please present that item?
Thank you, members. January 1, a new SACS standard went into effect that requires institutions accredited by SACS to document that their governing board defines and regularly evaluates its responsibilities and expectations. Your responsibilities and expectations are defined in state law and in the Regents' rules, so it was a matter of the board doing an evaluation of itself, and the rules amendment you have in front of you will require the board to regularly complete a self-evaluation. So the action today, together with an action at a future meeting where the board actually does a self-evaluation, will check off some important boxes for both Health Science Center El Paso and for Health Science Center Lubbock. It's the final box that could be checked for Rick Lang's accreditation, and Ted will need to be able to document compliance with this requirement in September. So what you're would do today is embed within your policies the requirement that you regularly do these evaluations, and then we'll proceed with actually doing one at a subsequent meeting.
All right, thank you, Ben, for that explanation. Are there any questions about the item that Ben has presented? Mr. Chairman, I move that the board approve the amendment to Chapter 1, Regents' Rules regarding board self-evaluations as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Regent Lancaster.
Mr. Chairman, this concludes the items to be considered by the Committee of the Whole at this time.
Thank you, Regent Lancaster. The board will continue meeting in open session and consider the reports of the standing committees. Regent Steinmetz, please present the items considered for action by the Finance Administration Committee.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. The Finance Administration Committee of the Board met in open session on Thursday, March 1st, 2018, to consider items 1 through 5 as presented on FA1 through FA7 of the agenda book. I request the following items be considered and approved. Item number 1, TTU agreement between Texas Tech University and ESPN Productions, Inc. Items number 2, approve amendments to Chapter 3 of the Personnel and Fiscal Management Regent Rules regarding conflicts of interest as revised. Item number 3, approve the amendments to Chapter 7 Fiscal Management Regents Rules regarding policies on debt and equipment financing, and I'd like the record to reflect that I'll recuse myself of this vote. Item number 4, TTU System, approve amendments to Chapter 7 Regents Rules regarding the delegation of authority to administer various student financial assistance programs. The committee also accepted the following report, which was item number 5, TTU System 2017 Combined Annual Financial Report. Mr. Chairman, the committee recommends approval of the items as presented, and I so move.
Do you have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, this concludes my report.
Regent Walker, will you present the items considered for action by the Academic, Clinical, and Student Affairs Committee?
Mr. Chairman, the Academic, Clinical, and Student Affairs Committee of the Board met in open session on Thursday, March 1st, 2018, to consider items 1 through 15 is presented on pages ACS 1 through ACS 29 of the agenda book. I request that all 15 of those items be considered and approved as a group. Mr. Chairman, the committee recommends approval of the items as presented, and I so move.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries. Thank you. Regent Long, would you present the items for the Audit Committee?
Absolutely. Mr. Chairman, the Audit Committee on the board met in open session on Thursday, March 1st, 2018. Considered item 1 is presented on pages A1 through A3 of the agenda book. I request the following items be considered and approved. The committee accepted the following report. Item 1, Texas Tech University System Report on Audits. Mr. Chairman, the Audit Committee also convened an executive session at which time there were no action items considered or approved. Mr. Chairman, the committee recommends approval of the one item as presented, and I so move.
We have a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries. Thank you. Regent Esparza, would you present items for the Facilities Committee?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, members of the Facilities Committee of the Board met in open session on Thursday, March the 1st, 2018, and considered items 1 through 3 as presented on pages F1 through F4 of the agenda book. I request the following items be considered and approved as a group. Item 1, ASU, approved preliminary stage 1 feasibility study for a new art museum building and naming of the facility. Item 2, TTU, authorized amendment of the stage 1 design budget for a new athletic dining facility. Committee also accepted the following report. Item 3, TTUS, report on facilities, planning, and construction projects. Mr. Chairman, the committee recommends approval of the items as presented, and I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries. Thank you. We will continue meeting as a committee of the whole and a meeting of the board. Ben, will you present our upcoming board meeting?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There are no changes in the schedule for meetings during the remainder of 2018. At the next meeting in May, we will need to look at adopting a schedule of meetings for 2019.
Okay. Today, the Chancellor and Presidents of the institutions will not present reports. However, we do want to hear from our student government presidents. So, Emily Hecox, would you give us the report for Angelo State University? Emily?
Hello, everyone. My name is Emily Hecox, as he stated. I'm not Tristan Fielder. He actually graduated and accepted a position at the Long School of Medicine in San Antonio, so we're very proud of him and wish him nothing but the best in his future career as a physician. First up, I'm going to introduce some people that I have with me today. Shayna Mullen is my vice president. Braden Woods is our president pro tempore. And then lastly, Giovanni Vega is our nursing senator and the Student Endowment Committee chair. So a lot has been going on at ASU since we were last here in December. In late January, our Senate passed a bill recognizing the third week of February as Rna Appreciation Week. This is actually a national week, so we just wanted to extend our appreciation of them on campus. Their job is 24/7. They're always on call. They do a lot of work for our students, keeping them safe and making ASU feel like home. So thanks to President Pro Tempore Wood's hard work, we had 54 sandwiches donated by Jimmy John's, and we delivered them to the RAs for lunch. These are just a couple pictures of us delivering the sandwiches to the RAs. We had a lot of fun. Dr. Flores was in attendance with us, and they were very appreciative of us recognizing. On the right-hand side, that's actually outside of our Multicultural Student Activities Program office. So this extended to other than just the Senate. It was extended to our student involvement as well, which was really cool to see. Another cool project we have going on are these water fountains. San Angelo water, as y'all know, is not the greatest. So a lot of water jugs. You see people walking around campus with like gallon water jugs. So to help out students, last year they installed 2 of these units in the Massey halls, which are some residence halls, and they worked great. And facilities loved them. They were easy to maintain. A lot of students used them. So they have actually been expanded at the request of students to the new Health and Human Services building. There's one in the University Center, and there's actually one in the Janelle Sports Center as well. So that's really awesome for our students. It helps us conserve plastic use, and that way they can refill their water bottles instead of using gallon jugs every day or 24 packs of water bottles. That's something that happened 2 years ago that we started, so we're really happy to see this expand. The next thing that was going on was we were approached by the library to partner on this project. They noticed that a lot of students would always come up to the desk and ask if they had charging cords for their phones or for the other devices. So we partnered with them on this project and purchased a really cool library charging station that actually has our student government seal on it. This provides free and convenient charging cords for most mobile devices, and it's also portable, so this allows us to relocate it if we need to relocate it. We also see these popping up in other places. The Multicultural Student Activities Program office actually has one, and I believe the Veterans Center has one. So this was a way for us to provide the same services to those in the library. Something that I'm really excited about actually started in Regent Lujan's session and was endowed last semester is the RAM Family Student Scholarship Campaign. This year we had a Valentine's Day event and we collected $616.70 total for that one event, which is really exciting for us. A special shout out to Dr. Kathleen Price, who is a kinesiology instructor. She donated $430.70 to this project. They closed out a club sports fund and she donated that money, so that was really awesome. So members of this committee and the Senate actually look through the scholarships and choose one student to receive this $500 scholarship. We hope that in the future we'll be able to award more than one $500 scholarship. So this is by the students for the students, which is really awesome. And it'll be awarded at the Rammies on April 11th this year. So this semester we had our first spring family weekend. We have these in the fall, but this was the first one that we had in the spring. There were 8 athletic events on Saturday alone, which is incredible. It all just happened at the same time. We also hosted the first ever Lone Star Conference state rugby tournament on the intramural fields, which shows a great increase in our club sports and non-NCAA sports going further and further. We had an intramural flag football team that was a national champion and other club sports that are going to national competitions. And this is just a great increase in student involvement, and it's really great for ASU. NCAA sports are doing awesome, but it also is our non-NCAA sports that are expanding as well. Okay, HPV Vaccination Event. Former President Tristan Fielder pushed for this. He worked really hard in conjunction with us. This is a great collaboration event. We have a grant from the Texas Medical Association, and we're collaborating with TMA, JAMP, ASU, Student Government Association, the Shannon Clinic, and the Student Nursing Association. They also have had ads that have been running on both Spotify and Snapchat for this event, so we're crossing our fingers for an awesome turnout. This is great for West Texas healthcare and healthcare of ASU students in general, and it's very important for expanding HPV awareness, prevention, and protection from the cancers it can cause. Lastly, I wanted to give a shout out to the ASU cheer team. They competed in California on Sunday and won the ASU Collegiate Large Co-Ed Cheer National Champions. I had to ask them what their exact title was so I didn't mess it up. So we're very proud of them. This is the first year that they've competed in nationals, and we're so excited for them. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to get to speak here today. I'm so proud to call ASU home. I love ASU, and I'm very thankful that I'll be able to continue my education in the system at the School of Medicine in Lubbock in August. So this will be my last one that I get to speak at because I'll be passing the torch at the next one. But thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Emily.
Emily's from Church, Texas. She can tell she's an honor student. She's on their ambassador. She also plays on the rugby team as well. And for the last couple of years, as Brian said, Ted and I have had the privilege of coming there to meet with the students. Emily was one of the first we met at lunch. You know, this last year we fought over Tristan, and he ends up in San Antonio. This time we fought over Emily. Fortunately, she ended up at Lubbock. It's not somewhere else. So, Emily, I'm excited that you're going to stay in the system.
Yeah. For sure.
And we're just hoping Ted doesn't mess her up. She's really good.
Emily, you always have a second home in El Paso.
All right.
Comments?
I have neither the time nor the crayons to explain it to Brian.
Our cheer team, I want to send out a shout out to. They beat University of Arizona and Arizona State, the other ASU. They're a little smaller than us. But that cheer competition in Los Angeles, really proud of.
Congratulations, yeah. So Robbie Meyer and Austin Looney are not with us today, so I would call on Chris Gerzinga to present. Chris, there you are.
Thank you, Chairman Francis. I'd like to welcome all of you to El Paso. Good morning. And on behalf of the student body here at Texas Tech, I really hope you guys enjoyed your stay here and continue to do so while you're here. So I'd like to start out today by talking about the Mlk Day of Service. This was held on January 15th this year, Martin Luther King Day. It's a day off for us. We don't have class requirements, so it was a good day to go out in the community and get some service done. So one cool thing about the Mlk Day of Service is that during our first year of medical school, the first 3 weeks are this thing called immersion, where we immerse ourselves in the El Paso community. You can see it's super duper creative in the way that it's named. But one thing that we do is that at the end of these 3 weeks, we develop a project within our groups on things we might like to change within the community, things to help the community from a healthcare perspective, or just a community improvement perspective at all. And so one of the things that was new this year is that these projects, which were assignments in the past, actually came to life. And so this year we had 5 different areas that we went out in the community and were able to make an impact, to make a difference, or so we hope, on Martin Luther King Day. So if you'll take a look at the 2 pictures on the left-hand side, you may notice that there's a child in the fire hat. It's because this was held at Horizon City Fire Station. And if you've noticed the fire hat, you might notice the child holding the giant stuffed fish, and for that I have no good answer. But this was this particular site was involved in more of a health screening perspective. It had 10 children come out and over 40 or 50 adults come. What they did there is they did education on blood glucose and blood pressure screenings, and they also checked blood pressure and checked blood glucose. And in the El Paso community, these are things that are very highlighted in something I see every day in clinic, the rampant diabetes and hypertension. So it's good to go out in the community and make sure we just educate our community members on that. If you look to the right, you'll see the Opportunity Center for the Homeless. In this particular site, we went to the Opportunity Center and we were able to advocate on behalf of each individual occupant in regards to their health needs, so that they can hopefully receive better care for their individual illnesses that they may suffer from. So this was perhaps our biggest site. This was also at a fire station, so that seemed to be kind of the theme here. But this was at the Monte Vista Fire Station. And what happened here is that it was identified during one of these immersion sessions that the streets in this community did not have adequately marked street signs. And so it's very hard for emergency services, if they were called to do so, to find and locate the places that they were called to. So what this site did is that it painted over 70 signs. You see here the numbers, and we're able to, in conjunction with the fire department, to place these in the houses and addresses throughout the community, so that emergency services, if they were called upon, could better identify the addresses to which they were summoned to. The next thing I'd like to talk about is Texas Two-Step Cpr. So Texas Two-Step Cpr was an event put on this last weekend by one of our senators, not in conjunction with SGA, but she did an excellent job of organizing this. And what this is that this is a hands-on CPR course that is offered to members of the community. CPR is something that everyone knows about, but may not necessarily know how to perform. And in a life-saving situation, it's good to be aware of exactly how to perform CPR. And I think that even The people who work in the hospital can always use a refresher course from time to time, just in case they're out in the community and may encounter that situation. So what this did is it offered 3 different locations throughout the community, and people were able to come and learn and train on these mannequins on how to do hands-only CPR. So that was something that we organized and were able to have people participate in. And it was actually held this year in conjunction with Sun's Health Fair, which brings me to my next point. Sun's Health Fair is a annual volunteer event where it's held at a community elementary school here in El Paso up in the Northeast every year. And organizations from this campus come out and they offer things such as the CPR training that you saw on my previous slides. They offer blood glucose checks, blood pressure screenings, and they offer like little fun things for people to do and the children to kind of get out in the community, get out from the community in order to attend these things. And so one of the, you see here in the top left of one of my classmates, Guillermo, is going and doing a blood pressure screening. But in the bottom picture, you'll see there is one of our senators, Alex Palmer, is doing one of the more fun stations for the children's, and it was called the GAC Attack, and they made slime, and it was kind of a fun little thing for the kids, and it really was received very well. And so while there's only a few pictures of this that I have, it should be noted that this is an event that attracts hundreds and hundreds of people from the community, and hundreds of students come out and volunteer their time on this Saturday morning to make sure that these booths are run and well done, so that people can come out and really have a good time and learn some stuff in regards to healthcare at this event. So I like to end these presentations with talking about a little bit things we'd like to do in the future to show you that we are looking ahead and trying to do some more stuff. So our last event for the year is perhaps one of our biggest. It might be our biggest, and it's called the Faculty, Staff, and Student Recognition Ceremony. It's an award ceremony that we started last year, and we're happy to do it again this year. And it takes some time out of our day to go and honor the faculty, staff, and students that we feel go above and beyond the normal call to what they're called to do here at Texas Tech. It's very well received by students. The voting and nomination is all done by students here. We nominate for different categories such as an excellence award, a service award. The event takes a lot of time and effort to prepare, and it's catered, and the food is very good. If I may say so myself, but it's very well received by the students and faculty. And last year was a big hit to see the faculty that do go above and beyond, because while I have the utmost respect for every faculty and student here at Texas Tech, there are some that certainly do go a little bit further than the others, and we'd like to take the opportunity to recognize them. Another thing we do here is that we have an appreciation ceremony for our senators. Our senators really do work very hard behind the scenes, putting all these things on that I'm able to come up here and talk to you about. Without their work, these things wouldn't happen. They wouldn't be as successful as that I believe that they have been this year. And so I really got to say thank you to our senators for doing such things, and they'll be honored here at this ceremony. And the final thing we do with this ceremony is that we induct our new officers. Last year, Dr. Lang was able to give the swearing-in ceremony to the president and the 3 vice presidents that oversee the executive council of SGA. And that was also a nice little ceremony touch to kind of cap off this award ceremony. This is something that we're very excited for, and we hope to be able to present the outcome of at our next meeting. And so every single one of these events, I've had this slide up here. It says thank you. And this may be my last event here. My successor will most likely present in May. But I'd like to say thank you for taking the time each one of these times to listen to me and hear what I have to say. I'm very proud to have been elected to this position, and I hope that I've done a good job of serving it very well. So if you've enjoyed talking to me, thank you. And if you haven't, well, you're in luck because it's my last one. I like it. Sincerely, thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris. The board will now convene in executive session as authorized by sections 551, 071, 072, 073, and 074 of the Texas Government Code. And for everyone, we're going to go into executive session. This pretty much concludes the meeting today. We will come out of executive session with any motions. But those of you that drove here from Lubbock, you probably want to get on the road and you can get back to where you from Lubbock. So we will now convene and go upstairs, I think, to the third floor.
We finished.
board will now convene an open session. Mr. Lancaster, please present the motions regarding the items discussed in executive session.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There is one action item that's resulting from executive session to authorize a contract modification with Chris Beard. I move that President Skuvanek be authorized to conclude the negotiations and execute a modification of the employment agreement with Chris Beard as head coach of Texas Tech University's men's basketball program under the terms and conditions set forth in executive session.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Any other items of business to come before us? Again, on behalf of the Board of Regents, we would like to thank El Paso and the Texas Tech Health Science Center campus here for a wonderful 3 days. Thank you all, and we are adjourned.
Hallelujah.
Thank you for coming, guys.
Great job. Thank you.